Hello guys, welcome to another video. The Lament of an Immortal, Worlds Collide by IAWWMS. Chapter 19. The Emissary Corrupted. The fight had resumed, at the same time that the conflict between the deities continued. In front of the hundreds of soldiers and warriors of Tempest, one of their leaders was placed between both sides to try to mitigate the conflict. Benimaru, the righteous Oni, addressed before his companions. "Stop all aggression, stop immediately," Benimaru pointed out while emanating an aura of war from within him, which made everyone somewhat serious turn to look at him, as the inhabitants of this world took the opportunity to regroup. "What nonsense are you talking?" Ultima pointed out, annoyed, as she left the fight against Ignia to stand in front of Benimaru. "What you heard, this is an order. Stop immediately," asserted Benimaru imposingly to his companion. "I always said you were too soft. Your cowardice is a disgrace to Tempest and our lord," Carrera pointed out. "I'm not asking for your opinion. This is an order from a superior. Stop now," Benimaru pointed out, annoyed at the response of his companions. "From now on Benimaru is relieved of his position. I will take command at this time," was heard behind the girls. It was Testarossa. "Benimaru, you go against the dictates of our lord and master. You are a disgrace to Tempest," she pointed while throwing a punch against Benimaru, but it was quickly stopped with her opponent's hand. "I thought I told you that I didn't ask for your opinion," Benimaru pointed out while from his hand a slight explosion in warning to his partner. "Surround the traitor," Carrera pointed out in annoyance. Immediately several orcs obeyed the indication. The atmosphere felt very tense. A part of them wanted to follow the indication given by their leader Benimaru, because they knew that he would never dare to betray his master, but a part of the army sympathized more with Testarossa's orders. That's when Mile noticed it. "They are not only affecting Azusa, these souls are contaminating your companions," pointed the silver-haired girl to the Oni. She could feel residue of those souls entering the three primordial ones, as the conflicting and violent nature made them perfect hosts for those corroded souls. "All troops, resume the bat," Testarossa pointed out, before momentarily falling silent. Something had caught his attention. It was when he turned to look skyward. Suddenly several portals of a crimson mist manifested, from which hundreds of demonic-looking soldiers appeared in front of everyone present. An aura rivaling that of the three primordial ones manifested in a purple mist. Everyone was shocked to see a peculiarly attractive boy of an apparent 12 years old with light purple hair, dark horns and insect-like wings appear into their presence. "My name is Baal, leader of the demonic troops in my world, in the name of the dynasty of the demonic kingdom that presides over the Pravat Ares lineage. This world has been catalogued as an allied territory of our nation. Any aggression against it will invalidate the alliance treaty between Tempest, Pravat. You are ordered to desist from all hostility and aggression," said the boy with a firm and solemn voice. "You insolent brat, you are no one too," said Carrera, throwing herself against the boy, but the boy stepped forward and with a direct blow that hit Carrera's stomach threw her away. "This is not a game, desist now. The seriousness of what you did is inciting more worlds to prepare for an interdimensional war," the boy pointed out. "Attack!" Testarossa shouted to everyone, which made everyone resume the conflict. This time Testarossa faced Benimaru. Ultima lunged at Mile, but Carrera wanted to take revenge on the boy by initiating melee attacks. "Die! Die! Die! Die!" Carrera shouted while quickly repeating several bare-knuckle attacks, but they were quickly dodged by Baal. "Your attacks are impulsive and erratic. Sure, just pay attention to your strength and nothing else. With proper training you would be someone much more effective," pointed the boy to his opponent. "What would you know, you conceited brat? Go back to your mother's arms, you son of a bitch," Carrera pointed out, but before she finished speaking a terrifying aura stopped her. Quickly the boy arrived in front of her and with the palms of his hands he took his opponent's fists and destroyed them by just pressing them. "Ah!" The girl screamed to quickly heal her wounds, but she could feel something else, a familiar aura coming from the boy. This young man carried a power she knew very well since the beginning of her existence. "I'm sorry, but my mind gets clouded when someone speaks ill of people who are very precious to me," the boy pointed out, taking a battle stance. "Well, let's continue." Gradually the silver flash faded. At the same time the demonic aura that covered Azusa gradually lost strength, and while the water spirit and the demon lord cleared their sight, a couple had a conversation. T2 was heard from the mouth of the corrupted goddess as she turned her gaze to see the person who was hugging her tightly. Quadruple A. Is saw. Are you going to give me trouble too? Don't complicate things for me, will you? Tuya pointed out in a laughing manner as he hugged her tightly. Slowly the couple descended to the ground. However, Tuya couldn't stand up, as he used what little energy Nerida gave him to recover. Tuya, is that you? Are you okay? Questioned the girl, as she hugged him back tightly to prevent him from falling to the ground. I'm here. What does it matter? He answered somewhat fatigued while narrowing his eyes. Little by little the shade of Azusa's hair returned to its original blonde. Her anger, hurt and frustration subsided as Tuya's heartbeat slowly began to normalize. I thought Rimuru had. I thought that. God, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. What were you thinking? I thought we lost you, Azusa pointed out as she laid Tuya on her lap. Me too, I thought it was the end of me, Tuya spoke barely. Then he coughed up some blood. Although Tuya had not died, his body was severely wounded. Gradually the corrupted souls were leaving Azusa's body, however. Something was brewing at that moment. The demon lord was watching in front of his eyes as his former beloved was worried about his rival. The desire to get his beloved back was being crushed in front of him, he could see it, the truth was in front of his eyes. Azusa was not being controlled for that worry, that pain and agony he felt at the sight of Tuya's apparent death were genuine. Moreover, he saw with his own eyes how this guy used what little energy he had left at the last moment to reach out to Azusa to reassure her and help her free herself from those souls. Rimuru thought to himself, again I failed her. No, not only that. I lost her. I really lost her. Those souls came to her because of me. The bond we had led them to her. Die the traitors, she could be heard faintly, but the only one who noticed was Nerida, as Azusa was more focused on being at Tuya's side. Lord Rimuru, spoke Nerida worriedly. Death to the traitors, was heard faintly as Rimuru was still immersed in himself. I have brought so much misfortune to the one I love. It is as if I myself have thrown her into the arms of another man. I have tried to do everything in my power to get it all back, and yet I have failed. Thought the demon lord as a feeling of self-hatred grew in him again. Suddenly the thousands of souls that had been expelled from Azusa's body moments before had found a new host. All those souls were surrounding him. Lord Demon, however, he had noticed it, and with one of his abilities he began to absorb them while he continued in his thoughts. It's as if existence itself was bent on making me unhappy. Existence? That's it. The Demon King hadn't realized it, but without Ciel's support those souls were bending him. What little morality and common sense he had left were being pushed out of his mind, his impulses, desires and his feelings were being exploited by those souls. Lord Rimuru, Nerida shouted as a crimson torrent plunged into Rimuru's body, which caught Azusa and Tuya's attention. Rimuru, Azusa shouted in fright. As Tuya thought, damn, can't this guy get enough? Suddenly the mist dissipated, revealing a Rimuru with floating hair due to the terrifying aura he emanated. Soon the hue of his hair changed to a coppery red. The millions of souls were altering Rimuru's will. The millions of souls that had been slaughtered by Tempest's army had contaminated the Demon King. If existence itself denies me my desires, then I will bend existence itself, Rimuru shouted towards the sky. Stop Rimuru, Azusa shouted as she extended her hand towards Rimuru. Rimuru was still roaring towards the sky. TTT Tempest. You are being. Tuya spoke, but at that moment upon hearing his voice Rimuru lunged towards him throwing a punch, but it was quickly blocked by Azusa with her hand. Suddenly a divinity greater than hers manifested in her hand, which made Rimuru recoil. It was when Azusa realized that divinity did not come from her alone. Tuya had blocked Rimuru's punch. The hands of the two gods had resonated with each other. They did not understand. They had been around other gods and had never manifested similar divinity. If I have to destroy existence itself, then I will also have to get rid of you too, Rimuru pointed out with a look of hatred. Don't worry Azusa, I will not kill them. I will only recreate them at my will. You have to stop Rimuru, said the goddess worried. At that moment Tuya saw in Azusa something special. Even though Rimuru has done all this, she is still worried about him. She's just as much of an idiot as I am. Those are the things that make us human, and I was about to lose all that, he thought as he laughed to himself. Azusa, you really are very special. Did you know that? Even being bent by those corrupted souls, he still thinks of you, Tuya pointed out as he took his hand. But first, Toya, I will make you live Anetraneous nightmare. pointed out Rimuru as he channeled an attack he had created at that moment. Dream Control. Nightmare lived. At that moment Rimuru launched a crimson mist on his opponents. But at that instant Tuya and Azusa intertwined their hands. Tuya momentarily saw Azusa, who looked nervous while still watching Rimuru. Soon Tuya began to feel the same electric shock that he felt the first time they touched hands, and suddenly his latent divinity began to emerge as he thought, I think Karen once told me that I would find someone special. I wonder, maybe, could it be her? And within inches of the mist reaching them both, Tuya uttered one of his spells, Reflection. At that moment the two abilities collided, both attacks had taken effect. Rimuru's attack did reach the pair but only halfway, the other half of the power of his attack had been reflected against the Demon King. And so, the two deities and the Demon Lord had been affected.